Okay, we'll go back to the mics, take a few more questions. Yes, sir.
My name is Peter, and I'm a local resident and father of 2 young children. And I'd like to start by saying thank you to the presenters in the shipping industry. That's all very good information, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm not here to attack the shipping industry. I'm here because I'm concerned that we are systematically destroying our biosphere. And I stand before everybody here as a hypocrite because I don't have a car myself, which most of the people in the room do. So we have a shared responsibility, and we all need to change something. I'll get back to that. But what I think this represents for us is an opportunity to start fixing that flawed system. And that starts with what we have control over. And what we have control over, I hope, is whether we're going to allow this pipeline to go through or not. So if we care about our planet, if we are opposed to fossil fuels, there's 2 things we need to do. Number 1, we need to change our personal habits because we can't go around driving our cars and using plastic and continuing to create demand for this non-renewable resource. And on the other hand, we're shame on the industry. We have to take some responsibility ourselves. And I challenge everybody in this room tonight to leave thinking, what's one thing I'm going to change so that I'm not contributing to this problem as much as possible. The real question I have to fix this problem, to move this problem, one solution would be to vote in the NDP. I've done my part, I voted for no in the last 2 elections. But my bigger question is, and I guess this is directed to the first panelist largely, what can we as individuals do to stop this?
Thank you very much. We'll go over here. Next slide. Can you hear me? Yeah. My name is Krista, and I would like to talk a little bit slightly different to what has been discussed so far. I would like to mention the STEA Agreement, which probably hardly anybody here in this room knows what it's all about. It's called the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement. And I have here, I will read off a little bit what this is all about. So, and I go back to the Liberals Committee and the Dogwood Society. Canada has seen around the world as a climate change pariah. This has a lot to do with our federal government's unquestioned support for Tarzan's development, the largest single environmental disaster on the planet. Trade agreements make it much more difficult to introduce stricter rules to protect the environment. And here I talk to you gentlemen and approach you gentlemen there who talk so nicely, the pilot authority. Your undertaking is, in my opinion, in danger because this comprehensive trade agreement, which Mr. Harper is going to sign with the Europeans within the next little while, they only need 1 or 2 more signatures and it is ratified. Then this, all your work, whatever you are doing, will be cast aside. And this gentleman here to the right is so optimistic that we should do a better job. Nobody will ever listen to you anymore. So this is what I'm warning you all about now. We are losing everything we have with this disastrous agreement if it goes through. So anyway, I just picked the last little bit. The largest here, this has a lot to do with our federal government's unquestioned support for Tarzan's development. The largest single environmental disaster on the planet. Trade agreements make it much more difficult to introduce stricter rules to protect the environment. At the same time, they encourage more extraction, production, and trade, which increase greenhouse gas emissions. The CETA will allow transnational corporations to ignore or challenge our environmental regulations, and it will impede our government's ability to make new ones. Canada should be
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know that Peter Julian, who's our trade critic, is also very familiar with the STEA Agreement, so I would suggest if anybody's got any questions about it, Peter is a great expert, and certainly we can answer more questions, so we can maybe do that after the meeting and if people have got questions. Okay, over here.
Hello, Julian, I'm at the University of British Columbia. Two things. First is a comment on the psychological effect and policy effect of opening the tar sands to China. I think what we've seen with the opening of the tar sands to the North American market is a great sense of security in other carbon-based economies. Basically, it's saying, oh, we've got this huge reserve, and now we can count on it, so why we don't need to change about that? And I think the same could be happening to China to some degree with these two pipelines and the extensions of it. So I think it's not really a good service to do to the world, but also to China itself, because in fact there is a bit of an illusion that because we've got 175 billion barrels of potential oil there, we will get that oil, but it's very uncertain actually if we can go beyond even 5 million barrels a day. Okay? So if too many people are looking for it, there are some people who are at the end of the line are going to be very disappointed. So I just want to take attention to that. The other one is simply a little comment on Stephen Brown's. I think I very much appreciated the presentation. I think from a geographical perspective, it was slightly disingenuous because you portrayed the Panama Canal as being narrow basin lake. There are not much currents there, and you also portrayed the Dover as the main point. I come from Brittany, northwest France. My parents experienced 3 major catastrophes there, with the Torrey Canyon, the Oganized, and recently with America. I experienced 2 of them myself, and my daughter this summer was walking on the beach, and she was still at risk of walking into puddles of bitumen for months. So just to say that those things happen, it's very important that we keep a realistic and an honest sense of what the risks are, and depict the geographies of this place, the climate, the currents, in a very exacting manner. And I congratulate in this way the pilot industry for the job that they do, because it's very, very important.
Thank you very much. We'll take one more question, then come back to our panel.
My name is Carl Aaron. I'm chair of the Environment Committee, Unitarian Church. I'll try to cut to the chase. I'm extremely concerned about climate change. I think that the way things are going, civilization will crash by 2050, and my son is 66 years old. And I'm doing everything in my power to prevent that. I'm wondering, at the federal level, and I'm speaking to the MPs, there was a private member's bill this past May, I believe, May and June, from a MP, Unitarian NDP guy from Thunder Bay, I believe, which didn't go very far, I guess. The federal government is not only dragging its feet, it's counterproductive in the climate change negotiations at Copenhagen, and it will be at Cancun in November. The government of Canada is the only government in the world that has not signed on to the UN Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. What can we do? It's getting pretty frustrating.
Thank you very much. And just to pick up on your point about the bill that you mentioned, it's our member Bruce Tyre, and it's Bill C-311, which is the climate change bill. And just so people can sort of refresh their memory, this is a bill that actually passed through the House of Commons, so that's very significant. And right now it's in the Senate. It also has to go through the Senate, and we've been doing everything we can to get it through the Senate, because it would be the most advanced set of sort of regimes that any legislature is passing if we get it through. So thank you for mentioning it. We'll come back to our panelists. I'll ask you to keep it brief. We're going to wrap up